So let's go. So we're going to have this webinar that's really going to be talking about the Tanzanian's financial sector for the year 2024. And we're basically going to have this webinar presenting the market overview. This is really to give you a taste of the market research report that we've basically prepared. And we're launching next quarter in September. We're launching the market research report that really deep dives into the financial sector in Tanzania, looking at the market trends, the regulatory environment, the compliance requirements, looking at the key performance indicators, but also looking at the case studies, the success stories, and also the failed stories, really enabling you as an investor or as a business person or even as a professional really to really understand what's going on in Tanzania, because we know that the financial sector is the backbone of any economy. So understanding that is really important because we see the health of the country. So we prepared this webinar to give you an overview, simply an overview. Which doesn't go into too much detail, but it's enough for you to kind of understand or to get a glimpse at what the market research report would go into much deeper. So welcome again, guys. So happy to see you all. So why are we in the position? There's so many people who dub themselves these days as Africa experts, and without really knowing much about Africa. But for us, it's really we're an investment and legal advisory firm. Right now, actually, we're in our office in Dar es Salaam, but we are opening our offices in Zanzibar as well as in Switzerland. And we really work with foreign investors from around the world who are interested in investing in the East African markets. The company was founded in Tanzania. So Tanzania was kind of the first market that we were really focused on. But now we really look at the region of East Africa being one of the fastest growing regions in Africa. And we also work with African businesses, so local enterprises, in getting them investment ready, but also helping them to seize some of these opportunities in terms of strategic joint ventures with foreign investors as well. So we really try and be a part of the solution to Africa and ending poverty in Africa through investments. That's one of our major vision and our major drive as well. So who am I? I'm the founder and managing director of Shikana Group. I'm qualified to talk about this because I'm an investment advisor, but as well as an international lawyer. I started my career in finance in Switzerland, and I've been really looking at the African markets, Eastern and Southern African markets, for over a decade now. And I've been recognized for my through various prizes and awards that I've gotten, namely the top women in management for Africa, as well as the top 100 CEOs for one of the fastest growing companies in Tanzania. This was maybe 2-3 years ago. Here you can see that there's a picture of myself with the governor of the central bank. So we work quite regularly with the central bank. So we know about the financial sector in Tanzania. And of course, my colleague is joining me as well, Mathias, Isai. He is an investment market research analyst, and he really is in charge of compiling all the data, getting all the data together to make all these incredible market research reports that we have. But why are we doing this? Why are we doing what we're doing? So I grew up in Switzerland. I was born in New York, grew up in Switzerland, came to Tanzania about a decade ago. And when I came to Tanzania, I basically started working with investors. And a lot of the time, investors were telling me like, we'd love to invest, but we don't know anything about Africa. And also there's that kind of perception of Africa being the dark continent. And this is really speaks to the lack of data and the lack of information that a lot of the times you're just not able to find this critical data that would allow investors to really make those decisions, to have an understanding of the market. And of course, we know that you can't invest unless you have an understanding of the market. So when all this was happening, I started looking around. I started recommending some of these investors to other people that were supposed to be giving these kind of services and all this, but it didn't go very well. It was quite unprofessional. And so this is when we decided to like jump in and say, okay, let's give this service. Let's actually go out there and gather all the information, gather all the data, because I think this is how we're going to democratize investment in Africa, right? So a lot of the time when you look at, when you speak to a lot of investors, they don't know anything about Africa because there is not enough information out there about Africa. But also when you look at the data in terms of the global FDI rates, you see that there's only 3% of global FDI that's actually going into Africa. That's nothing, guys. That's really nothing. And so for me, it was really a mission, and it was a mission, meaning that I believe that the only way that Africa is really going to be prosperous and we're going to end poverty is through investment, is through business, is through empowering local African businesses to really unlock that private capital and to generate the wealth. And so it became something that, okay, well, then this is a no-brainer. We have to kind of go out there, even though the work is incredibly difficult, because it's just so difficult to get your hands on very good data in a lot of these markets. But we decided to tackle this, and we decided to take on this challenge. And we've been doing this since 2019, where we had issued our first market research report, which was received, very, very well. And we continue to do so. So this is like our big why. We believe that if we are part of the solution and we're actually giving the information and risking and demystifying, I guess, Africa, then more and more people are going to want to invest, and more private capital that is going to come into Africa and really like unlock Africa's full potential. So we're going to start with basically looking at the economic context, right? So Tanzania, right now, all eyes are on Tanzania. Tanzania economy has demonstrated remarkable resilience and growth rate in the recent years. We know that right now in the Eastern African region, the biggest competitor, of course, is, well, they're all competitors, Rwanda, Uganda, as well as Kenya. With everything that's happening in Kenya right now, the instability, kind of them redefining certain things around governance, etc. There's a lot of the FDI that was going into Kenya is going to slow down because of that kind of uncertainty at the moment. And what we're seeing is a lot more of that FDI coming now into Tanzania. So Tanzania is really positioned, I think, in the next few years, if it plays its cards right, to really be the leader in the market. Apart from everything that Tanzania has to offer in terms of the abundant natural resources, the amazing people, there's a population of 65 million, but also the strategic positioning of Tanzania, which is the gateway to the Indian Ocean and to Asia and to the world really, and also serving all the landlocked countries as well. The potential is just huge. So the projections, when you look at the World Bank, the projections are set for the GDP rate for Tanzania is set to reach 5.6% in 2024. And guys, I think this is nothing. I mean, it's great when you look at the market, the region, sorry. Tanzania is still, ahead. But in terms of that full potential, I don't think this is it at its full potential. So I think, these are the projections for 2024, but I think if everything holds constant, the GDP growth is just going to keep going up and up. And this is really a testament to the strength, but also the enormous potential of the economy. So several factors are driving this economic expansion. We're seeing that there's increased loan applications. We're seeing a surge, particularly from small and medium-sized enterprises that are really the backbone, actually, of the Tanzanian economy, but also the backbone of any economy, I think, in the world. This really indicates a growing appetite for business expansion and also development across various sectors. But also in the insurance sector, we're actually seeing that there's a rising demand for life and health coverage schemes. And this really is reflecting the increase of awareness in terms of risk management among the population. When we look at the agricultural sector performance, agriculture, of course, is a cornerstone of the Tanzanian economy. It contributes nearly 1/3 of the GDP. And the agricultural sector's steady growth has been a key driver for the overall economic expansion. So these are like the good things that we're pointing off. Of course, we have to be responsible, and we have to note that, we are navigating some challenges, and inflation is definitely an issue, and it's definitely there, even though there's been a modest decline from 3.2% in 2020 to 3% in March 2024, but it still remains a factor that, needs to be closely monitored. And when you look also at the Tanzanian shilling, it has experienced some fluctuations against major currencies. The major currency in Tanzania is the US dollar, and we have seen a 9.8% decline against the US dollar compared to last year. So in response to all these economic dynamics, the Bank of Tanzania has taken action, and they've raised the central bank rate from 5.5% to 6%, and this was reported June of this year. So this policy really aims to combat inflation, but also it may lead to increased borrowing costs in the short term. But despite this, I think we're really seeing that the trend in private sector credit is really growing, and it's very encouraging. So from January to March, the credit issued to the private sector grew by an average of 17%, particularly in key sectors like agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and transport. These are really like the four major sectors in the Tanzanian economy. And this growth has remained steady compared to the previous quarter, which again indicates that resilience in our business environment. So that was the economic outlook. Now, let's look at the market developments. Of course, what we're providing here in terms of the market developments is really high level. In the market research report that we're launching next month in September, we really deep dive into all of this, and we really give a lot of data and a lot of statistics data in terms of the market developments, the sectors. We look at the banking sector, the insurance sector, and really and the fintech sector, and really looking at the trends and all that. So now, looking at the banking sector has shown a really impressive growth and profitability. So two of our largest financial institutions, which is NMB Bank and CRDB Bank, I see some of the NMB and CRDB people us today on the webinar, Karibuni Sana. So they have achieved record-breaking profits in 2023. NMB Bank reported profits of $209 million US dollars, around $209 million US dollars, and CRDB Bank reached around 163 million US dollars. So these figures are not only a reflection of the health of these institutions, but also indicating the overall robustness, I think, of our banking sector. And what's particularly encouraging is that NMB Bank and CRDB Bank are like the two giants in the market. What we call the smaller second tier banks, I mean, they have not recorded the same record profits as actually nowhere near the same record profits as NMB Bank and CRDB Bank, but still we're seeing that there is growth. That the collective net profit for the first 3 quarters of 2023 actually soared by 192% compared to the same period in 2022. So reaching a total of around 73 billion Tanzanian shillings. So banks like NCBA Bank, Equity Bank, the Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank, even though their net profits were only at around 6 million, between $5 to $7 million. I say only because it's in comparison to CRDB Bank and NMB Bank. But I mean, these are actually showing notable gains compared to compared to previous years. So what's particularly in what we're seeing as well in terms of like the banks is that there is very interesting partnerships, international partnerships actually, and product innovation as well in the banking sector. So for example, CRDB Bank partnered with American Express, allowing for its merchants, ATMs, POS machines to process Amex card transactions. I have to say that I put that in the webinar here. I'm talking about this because I'm a fan of American Express, and before, American Express kept being declined pretty much everywhere in Tanzania. So that's a very exciting thing for me, but also for other people who are using American Express. But I think this partnership and this collaboration opens up definitely new opportunities for local businesses and consumers as well. Now, looking at the insurance sector, the insurance industry has also been experiencing significant growth and expansion. In 2022, the sector provided risk mitigation and financial protection services to about 17.8 million people within the country. That's out of a population of 65 million people. So breaking this down, we had like 4 million individuals holding active insurance policies, while 13.8 million were beneficiaries covered under various insurance plans. The regulatory environment, I think, speaks volumes to this because it has been evolving and really supporting the growth of the sector and of the industry. The Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority, TIRA, which was established in 2009, has been actively shaping the industry. And as of June 2024, TIRA actually licensed an additional 6 insurers, bringing a total number of nationwide insurance or assurance providers to 33. And there is so much potential around this sector. Financially, also, the sector has been performing well. By December 2022, the industry recorded 1.155 trillion Tanzanian shillings in gross premiums written. So it's worth noting that the market is somewhat concentrated, with the top 5 insurers accounting for the majority of this GPW. So again, in our market research report, we dive into this. We really look at what are these top 5 insurers, and we really go more into the data and around this really fast-growing sector. We also look at the capital markets, which it's true that when you look at the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, it's still very small in comparison, for example, to even the Kenya Stock Exchange, and we're not even going to compare to the New York Stock Exchange or the London Stock Exchange. We're not going to compare that. But the DSC still continues to play a crucial role in the financial ecosystem. I think a lot more needs to be done in terms of improving the regulatory, like the policies around that, to encourage more companies to voluntarily list. But as of early 2024, there were 27 companies listed on the DSC, including 9 financial institutions, and there was a total market cap of $5.7 billion US. So that's in terms of developments. Of course, again, in the market research report that we're launching next month, we really deep dive and give a lot more information about this. So now let's look at the regulatory landscape. So it's very interesting with the regulatory landscape because a lot of the time, you know, people have their how do you say, opinions, or their opinions about Tanzania, Africa generally, Tanzania, and a lot of the time there's this impression that, you know, there are no regulations, but actually there is a lot of regulations in Tanzania. I think Tanzania is one of the most advanced markets for in a lot of sectors. If you don't go to the new kind of sectors like fintech, for example, which just recently the regulatory sandbox was launched, and you know, I think still a number of regulations are still being figured out in that. But in terms of traditional financial services, the BOT, which is the central bank in Tanzania, really regulates this extensively. So the regulatory environment in Tanzania plays a crucial role in shaping the financial sector and really ensuring the stability, growth, and also, most importantly, is protecting the consumers. So the BOT oversees commercial banks, credit unions, microfinance companies, forex bureaus, payment service providers, and mobile money operators. And I see some people from the BOT in the house, so shout out to my people from BOT. I love the BOT. Honestly, it's such a pleasure working with the BOT because they're just so efficient, and you know, everything kind of always goes in a very professional way. So shout out to BOT again. But we've been seeing actually that the BOT are taking their role as an overseer and regulator very, very seriously. And they've been taking strong action against unlicensed lending operations, emphasizing really the importance of compliance in the financial sector in Tanzania. Now, looking at the microfinance institutions, microfinance is one of the fastest growing sectors, I think, in Tanzania. It's absolutely incredible just because of the number of low income people, like the low income population is big. The demand for capital and financing is huge, and it just keeps growing. So to date, there's 1,355 microfinance institutions that are licensed by the BOT. So this really is a testament to how important microfinance institutions are. Earlier this year, there was the BOT regulations that were issued that basically were regulating the microfinance non-deposit tier 2. Prior to this, they were not being licensed by the BOT, but since earlier this year, they are being licensed by the BOT. And this really speaks to the BOT's preoccupation around protecting the consumer, which is a really good thing. Another key aspect of regulation actually now, and a lot of people are not mindful about this, but they should be mindful about this, is really the establishment of the Personal Data Protection Commission. And this is an institution under the Personal Data Protection Act of 2022. And data protection now is a key focus. Fintech startups, for example, and other financial service providers that are handling sensitive customer information must now register with the PDPC, ensuring better protection of consumer data. And this is just so important, but also it's something to say that we are now in line with international practice when it comes to data protection. Of course, you know, this is a new area for Tanzania. So maybe when you compare to the GDPR that is applicable, for example, in the EU, Tanzania might it's perhaps not as developed or as extended as the GDPR, but you know, I think that with the global trend, there's no reason why Tanzania is not going to follow that same direction in terms of really taking data protection really seriously and really ensuring that it's properly regulated. Something else I think is with regards to anti-fraud measures. So the BOT reported that commercial banks lost approximately $4 million in 2023 due to online fraud. Now, something interesting about this is I'm not really sure about this number, to be honest, just because I feel like in Tanzania, I'm not really sure how willing financial institutions are to really report these losses, but I'd be very surprised if the only thing that the only loss that has been reported is only $4 million. Okay, maybe, but I have my doubts. But there's also an increased focus on cybersecurity and fraud prevention measures generally across the sector. And when you read the Personal Data Protection Act, there is actually a lot of attention that has been given to all these issues of cybersecurity and fraud prevention, etc. The government also continues to prioritize financial inclusion efforts with the ongoing implementation of the National Financial Inclusion Framework 3, which was launched in August 2023. And this plan really aims to expand access points to financial services in rural areas and reach 85% of the population. So these regulatory developments aim to create a more stable, more transparent, and inclusive financial sector in Tanzania, but also they really provide a framework for growth, which is so important. I think in certain, I want to say that the regulator and the legislators don't always get it right the first time, because we've seen some rules that have come out which have not been received in a very positive way by the financial sector. But the very good thing about the regulator and also the legislators in Tanzania is that they really listen. They always have their ears on the ground, and we see that there is a very quick turnaround, meaning that if something is really not working, it's changed, because the primary intention is to have a framework that is working. Also, it's a framework that encourages growth, but also, of course, keeping the market integrity, but also consumer protection. So that's that on my part, and I'm just going to now hand it over to my colleague Isai, who's going to cover the exciting developments in our fintech sector. Fintech is like booming, growing. I believe that we're going to catch up to Kenya soon. And so Isai, take it away. Please tell us what the updates are.
Okay, thank you so much, Amne. Thank you, Amne, for that insightful overview. And I'm Isai Mathias. I'm a research analyst at Shikana Group, and today I'll be focusing on Tanzania's fintech sector. So this overview is based on our research, which we did in early 2024. So we did this research in the first quarter of 2024, and we've been doing other reports, as Amne has pointed out, and this is just the overview, and the full report will go in depth about, let's say, the market sizes, the figures, and the opportunities there. But for this overview, we'll just spotlight some key growth segments and areas where maybe investors or international development partners should focus on. So, for example, when you're talking about Tanzania's fintech sector, the key things to look at is the average financial inclusion rate in the mainland and in Zanzibar. So in Tanzania mainland, it's 78. In Tanzania mainland, it's 72, and in Zanzibar, it's 78. So the average is around 75% inclusion for all adults from 15 going up. So this is a key metric which shows the health of the country with regards to accepting fintech. So if you have all of these people, and in Dar es Salaam, we did some calculations where we found like at least every adult has 3 or more SIM cards. So all of these are areas where fintech companies or fintech investors usually focus on and look at when you're trying to enter or penetrate a market. So with this overview and the amount of mobile money users, because the majority of the people who are financially included are mobile money users, so we have over half of the population uses mobile money. So we have a 59% penetration rate as of December 2023. For now, it's going up, it's going higher or up. So this is a key metric to show that our fintech sector is mainly dependent on mobile money as compared to, let's say, card payments or POS payments. So the majority of fintech ventures are dependent on mobile money. So if you're building something, you should figure out how you can accept mobile money. For example, even Meta like accepts M-Pesa when you're doing ads. So that shows where you should look at. So what are the key segments? Like what are the key focus areas in fintech in Tanzania? So we identified 4 key segments that are driving growth in the fintech sector. So if you look at the majority of the startups we have here and what they are doing, it's basically the biggest ones are either in the mobile money business. So the mobile money business, that's the primary driving segment in the fintech sector. And we have digital lending, but also we have insurtech, like insurance technology. And also we have agri-fintech. So I'll go through these real quick and just to give you a kind of an overview of the opportunities in this area. So for example, in mobile money, where are the opportunities in the mobile money segment? So the opportunity lies in value-added services. For example, Vodacom like has a special directorate unit that deals with digital services and value-added services. So this is a key segment for the fintech sector where instead of just making people cash in and cash out, instead of just making them doing transactions or receiving and sending money, there's an opportunity there to add, let's say, investment services, savings services, like introducing savings products to all mobile money users. So if you can try to implement different products for mobile money users, like allowing them to invest, allowing them to save, that's an opportunity for growth, and it can create like flourishing businesses and it can attract capital into the country. Another area is retail transactions. As you know, like when you go to a retail shop, you almost always pay in cash. Like 25% of all retail transactions are 25% are cashless, only 25%. So the remaining percentage depends on cash. So if someone can try hard to digitize this process of buying at a mangi shop, like if you can pay in card or by POS or Lipa number, I think that's a key area that's ripe for disruption. So this segment could grow to USD 93 billion based on our projections if the current penetration rate continues until 2028. But also with the National Financial Inclusion Framework, when you look at the transaction volumes of mobile money, because the National Financial Inclusion Framework 3 is trying to bring the inclusion rate from the current average of 75% to 85% in the next few years. So if we can reach that rate and the transaction volumes of mobile money continue being the same, that means in the next few years, we'll see that the mobile money segment will be worth $93 billion. So annually. So annually, mobile money, the amount of money that is in circulation in mobile money will be $93 billion. So that's another area where there are opportunities in the mobile money segment. But also, when you're looking into other opportunities, let's say in digital lending, we have small to medium enterprises. So these are companies which employ, let's say, 1 person, 2 people. We have medium enterprises which employ a little bit more people. So like giving these people credit, like giving these enterprises credit. For example, we have 3 million SMEs. So if only someone, let's say, could capture 10% of that market, 10%, that would be USD 250 million. That would be the market cap for that specific SME credit financing segment. So we have seen companies like Ramani, they have raised some funds and they are launching new products where they are specifically targeting to give credit to these wholesale micro distributors. So this is a key segment where we're seeing people like are tapping in, and it would be great to have more people trying to give credit even to mangi shops. We are seeing Sarafu is trying to implement that. So Hillis is also exploring that option. So the SME credit gap is a key opportunity and can drive growth of the fintech sector. Another segment, another example is in lending. So we all know about Songesha, Empower, and all of these lending products which telco providers give them to us. but we're also seeing asset financing. We have Watu Credit and other startups which are trying to give credit and to lend individuals, let's say to buy phones. We have seen telcos partnering with device manufacturers to give loans. For example, if you go to a Vodashop today, you can get a loan to get, let's say, Tecno Camon 30. So that's another segment where we haven't really pushed it to the extreme, and it can drive growth of the sector. So we have seen it. We have seen the story of Tala, like it has disbursed over $1 billion US just in credit, like lending to individuals, lending to people. This market is tricky because sometimes it's difficult to verify, like if this person is legit or not. So that's another challenge there. But if you can tackle that, I think you can also expand the fintech sector, because digital lending is super, super important. Another area is insurance technology. As Amne highlighted, in the insurance sector, we saw that only a subset of the population pays for insurance. Like the rest of the population depends on, like very few people pay for insurance. For example, in health, like the majority is carried by the minority. So when you go to, let's say, insurance for businesses, insurance for, let's say, merchants, we don't have specialized products for insurance. Like, for example, boda drivers, we are seeing Vodacom is pushing their product about insurance. Let's say you can pay maybe 3,000 a month to be insured when you get an accident, or it's telling this boda drivers, let's say you can pay some amount a month and then you can be insured when you get an accident. So these are areas where we're seeing activity, but it's not widespread as it should, because insurance is really, really very important. So in agriculture, let's say for farmers, there are some startups which are having insurance products. There is a startup called BusyTech. They're having a product in insurance tech. So they call it Kilimo. It's part of their Kilimo Bundle suite of products. So these are areas where there are very, very many opportunities in agriculture, health insurance, as I mentioned, with regards to NHIF, and exploring other ways to insure office workers, like how do you digitize the process. So it's very important to focus on insurance to expand the fintech sector. Another area is agri-fintech. Farmers need better ways to accept payments. They need better ways to receive money when they're talking to middlemen or wholesalers. But also, we don't have widespread digital marketplaces for farmers. For example, today, it's very difficult for me to order fresh spinach, like from a farmer. You must go to the supermarket and do this and this. But if someone would try to do like fintech and try to, because we have so many farmers in Tanzania, like a huge percent of our GDP depends on agriculture. So we have millions and millions of smallholder farmers. This is a wide market. And when you look at the size of GDP that is caused by agriculture activities, it's huge. Like the opportunity is huge. So if you can provide payment solutions for farmers, and if you can integrate, let's say, weather data for the farmers and other digital solutions, it would be you'd be part of a $1.4 billion market. So that market alone can create a unicorn. So these are areas where there's so much potential, but I think no one is tapping it to the fullest. And that's why we're doing this report. As Amne mentioned, we're trying to democratize private capital, and we're trying to democratize investment and making it possible for anyone to invest in the country, and also to drive foreign direct investment and domestic direct investment. So by sharing this information, for example, in the full report, we'll give detailed breakdowns of the market segments and the projections of each vertical. I think that will drive more people to invest and build products in the fintech sector. So I think that's that for me. And other areas are cross-border transactions, and every other area Amne has mentioned. I think we'll cover them in detail in the full report. And thank you, Amne, for having me.
Thank you, Isai. That was really interesting. I think fintech just has so much potential, and it's so untapped. And you know what's really good is that the government actually, we're seeing that the government is paying attention to the fact that fintech is like the next big thing. And so we are seeing that there are some engagements with stakeholders and of course this sandbox, regulatory sandbox that has just been, I think, launched a few weeks ago, which is all very definitely very promising. So yeah, we of course, we're really mindful of the time, but this is really, again, to really give just an overview of what is inside in the market research report. The market research report is something that we spent quite a bit of time, kind of working on and getting together, and I think it's over 60 pages. So it really has all the information that you would need if you're just simply interested in the financial sector, but more importantly, if you really intend to do business in this sector. Of course, the market research is not personalized. We do work that is personalized as well, meaning that if you want us to test your business model and to really look in depth to see if your business model, your business is actually going to work, and see the data, kind of get the data to support that specific business model that you have, this is something that we also do. But the market research report is not specific to business models, but really just looking at the sector, and like we have already said, really looking at the trends, the opportunities, the key performance indicators, and just all the data that is kind of in a lot of different places, sometimes not even accessible to the public, but we've really made the effort to kind of put it all in one place. And so I'm feeling a little bit crazy, so I think that what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to get this market research report. So the market research report, we know that the market research reports that are done by other institutions, usually this, costs a lot of money. And rightly so. We understand that it costs a lot of money, because I think, like, just for one market research report, I think we have to get like 30 permits or something like that just to get this data, if you're looking at like the whole country, right? But like I said, for us, we're not in it for the money, but we are in it because we really want to see a change in Africa. We really want to see more investors and investment going into Africa. So I'm going to do this crazy offer. It's a crazy deal. What I'm going to do is that this market research report, we're usually selling it for $999. We're going to be selling it if you pre-order it today, and this is valid only for the next 24 hours. You can pre-order it for $499. I know, like, Isai is looking at me like, are you crazy? Yes, I am a little bit crazy, but I really appreciate just everybody having made the time to like come here on LinkedIn Live, like you're here listening to us and all that. And it shows that you guys are so interested in the market. And as a thank you, as a token of thank you, I think that's kind of the deal that I want to do for you. So there's going to be a link right now in the chat box. If any of you want to pre-order, I advise you to pre-order, because after 24 hours, we're going to go back to our normal price, which is $999. On LinkedIn Live, we're going to put that in the comment sections as well. Seeing as you guys are not in the Zoom chat, we're going to put that in the comment sections as well. So yeah, so everyone gets to get this information. Everybody gets to use this information, and hopefully just be able to demystify things, and you would be able to sit down and be like, oh my God, I want to do this business, I want to do this venture, and it would be totally possible because you would get the knowledge and the know-how from these market research reports. So go to this link that is in the chat box. I don't think our IT guy has put the right link here. This is the overview, but the link is going to go shortly into the chat box. Click on it, pre-order the market research report, guys. You won't regret it. And also, actually, the market research report comes with a 30-minute consultation with one of our investment advisors. If you're lucky, you might actually get me, but there are also other competent investment advisors also on the team. So you can actually have a consultation, a free consultation, a 30-minute consultation about that. So yeah, so I think that we're the presentation, and so we'd love to hear from you. If you can raise your hand if you have any questions to ask. Otherwise, you can put them in the chat box as well. I'm seeing here that Kennedy has asked a question. Are these information provided also aims the local business owners in Tanzania? I think you're asking, Kennedy, if the market research report is also aimed for local businesses. Yeah, it's aimed for everybody. It's aimed for whether you're a local business person or you're foreign investor. The information doesn't really change, right? Because private capital is private capital, whether it's from abroad or not. So yeah, this information is definitely for everyone who's just an investor and who really wants to look into investing in Tanzania. I hope that was helpful. Are there any other questions? You can raise your hand. How to raise your hand is there's a react button. You can just, click on that and raise your hand, and our IT support will bring you up, and you can ask away. And we're also going to check out the LinkedIn Live to see if there's any comments or any questions there. Happy to answer you. Oh, I see that our IT has put in the right link now. So click on it, and it's a 24-hour offer where you can get the detailed market research report of the finance sector in Tanzania for 2024 for $499, guys. That's a pretty that's a pretty good deal. But yeah, so if I'm not sure if there are any other questions. I'm gonna look in the chat box. Okay. Oh. Okay, if there are no other questions, then I'm glad that we caught up with time and we finished on time. It was really nice having all of you here. Thank you so much for making the time. We're going, for those who have attended and who have stayed on, we're going to send you the link so that you can get your free market overview. And we'll also send you still the link so that you can buy the market research report. You have 24 hours for the special offer where you can buy the report for $4.99. So we're going to be hosting in 2 weeks' time. We're going to be hosting another overview for a different sector. It could be the agriculture, it could be the real estate, it could be the tech, it could be we have, I think, a number. We've covered a lot of the sectors. But basically, every 2 weeks, we're going to be having these kind of overviews, get the discussions going on, and also just really make investment in Tanzania and in Africa a lot more accessible to everyone. So thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.